So today I want to get into some basics of VI and the visual editor. So visual editor, aka Vim or a VI, was created in 1976 by Bill Joy as part of BSD Unix. Vim VI improved, thus the long form, and the short form is Vim. Was released by Bram Molina in 1991, adding syntax highlighting, unlimited undo, plugins, mark, macros, and a scripting language called Vim script. Vim runs entirely in the terminal, no GUI required or the graphical user interface. It is pre-installed on almost every Linux distribution and Mac OS, which makes it the go-to editor for server administration, remote SSH sessions, and developers who refuse to take their hands off the keyboard. And so, why invest in Vim? Well, Vim is available on every Unix, Linux, Mac OS system, always there when you SSH into a server. It is blazing fast. Once if you're fluent with it, editing becomes pure muscle memory with zero mouse usage. Enormously configurable. You can bend it to your exact workflow with plugins and mappings. The model design means fewer modifier keys and the ecosystem of thousands of plugins and including full LSP IDE features with a a COC and Vim. Now, the reason I decided to create this tutorial is to show you how simple it can be to use Vim. You don't need to master everything within Vim. You can be using Vim or VI as your go-to editor every single day to just spin up a simple files and to create a very simple file if you want to, and it's completely easy. VI ships on virtually all Linux systems, and you don't need to have a Linux system installed on you cannot have a Linux with Windows. You cannot have you can also use you can also have Linux installed on Windows on top of Windows through the WSL. You can get started with the WSL. Just visit WSL and you can get started working with VI. So you can see here we have a guide on how to get started with the WSL. I recommend you install this if you want to learn VI and you're still using Windows. Then this would be the best option for you to have a WSL on top of Windows. So the Windows subsystem for Linux, you can check this out and you can get started with this. Then you can have this installed. I have the Ubuntu distro installed on top of my Windows. Now I can comfortably work with VI and navigate with the Vim. And Vim may or may be present depending on your distro. So Vim may not come in with all distros. Here's how to check and install across every major package. So you can just do the Vim version just like this to check whether you have Vim installed, and you can see this bunch of string. Now to get the very exact string that we want, I'm just going to do the Vim version and then I'm going to grep for VI improved. So grep VI and then I'm going to check for VI improved, just like that. I think this is a lowercase, and then I'm going to check and you can see my version compiled March 10, 2026. So there I have my VI installed. VI is in my is a package that I have installed. So you can just install this. If you don't have VI installed, you can just do sudo. You can just have sudo, then apt this for Debian Ubuntu distro. You can just do sudo apt install, and then you can install Vim. You can install Vim as simple as that, and you can also check whether this is installed. After finishing your installation, you can dpkg and then you can check for installation for Vim as simple as that. So dpkg, not one, dpkgl, then you have Vim to check for your version. You can see the version, you can see the name, and you can see the architecture and the description. VI improved, enhanced VI editor. As simple as that. And I'm going to clear this up, and you can also install this on Fedora, Red Hat, and CentOS, Alma Linux. So you can have this for the different distributions. So as you do DNF and then you install Vim, again you can do this for the different distros that you want to work with. For OpenSUSE, I think it's sudo zyper, and then you have Vim. So as you do zyper, and then you have Vim, just like that. So you can also have this installed on your any distro that you have. You can work with it. You can have the different configurations to install VI and just get started with it. So let me just open VI. So let me just open Vim without actually typing a file name. Let's just type the word Vim in our terminal, and let's see what we get when we type this. And you can see what I get when I type Vim. So I have opened Vim with an empty buffer, and you can see what I'm getting. You can see Vim is just the short form for VI improved. You can see the version 9167 created by Brian Mulena and modified by the team. And you can see I have some commands here to exit, for online help, and for version info. So when I type :Q, that's how I exit a file or I quit. So just like that, I go back to my terminal again. Now you can also just look for this Vim tutor, and it prints a simple manual document or a simple guide on how you can work with Vim. And you see, Vim is a very powerful editor that has very many commands. That one I agree to. It has very many commands, and I don't think you can really master everything. It's too many to explain in a tutor such as this. You can see this tutor is designed to describe enough of the commands that you'll be able to easily use Vim as an all-purpose editor. The approximate time required to complete the tutor is just 30 minutes, depending on how much time is spent with experimentation. So the most important thing with VI is not mastering everything, because it might make you exhausted, might make you give up, it might make you lose hope, it might make it seem a lot difficult than it is. The most important thing is noting some of the most important commands that you need to work with, noting the modes, and noting and just grasping the most important navigation commands, how you can spin up some quick commands, how you can operate with the file, how you can move within a file, how you can exit, how you can select, how you can copy, and how you can delete, how you can insert text. I think that's the most important, and also how you can search and replace. Okay. So I want us to now go ahead, and I'm just going to quit this, and then I want to access my state2.py. So I'm going to have let me just vi state2 .py. So let's open this file, and let's see some basic navigation with the file. So to move up and down, the up a line, down a line, you can see I'm using the up arrow and the down arrow. And again, you can also open two files. So let me go back, and I can open two files at once. I have two files with a buffer. So I mean open multiple files in each on its own buffer. So I can have vi2 state vim, or let me just type vim state2.py state2.py, and I can also have the content writer2.py, just like that. And now I can have two different files, and I can open them at once with the different buffers, and just like that. And now I can also do something like this to see I can do something like to move to the next file. I can just type something like this, and you can see I go to the next file. So, and to go back to the previous file, I can always write something like this, something like so I can write something like prev to go to the previous file. And if I want to go to a next file that I opened, I can always do something like this, and just like that, you can see that I have gone to the next file, and to go to the previous file again, just like that. And I can check for the buffers. So buffers, Yeah, so I can have the buffers right here, and you see I have the buffer 1 and buffer 2. So if I want to go to B buffer 2, so I can just write B2, and you can see I'm brought to the content right 2.py, and this allows you to jump directly into your files. And okay, so I can only go back to buffer 1 just like that. And if I want to quit all, so I'm going to quit all these files, I can just write something like that. And now I'm out of the two files that I had just opened at the same time. Something as simple as that. And you can also compare two files. You can you can open one file and jump to another file very easily with vi, and you can have the def mode to compare two files side by side. So if I want to compare the two files side by side, what I can do, I can have state2 .py, so I can have the state2.py, and then I can have the content writer 2, so I can have the content writer 2 again .py, just like this. So I can do this, and you can see I have a comparison of the two files right here. So I can compare the two files, and I can see yes, something in the in one file. You can see on the left side of this screen we have the state.py, and on the right side I have the nodes content writer.py. Still again all these in the terminal, and then I can quit again. So if I want to quit all, I can quit just like that. And I want to clear this now, and I just want to go to my state2.py. So vi state2.py, and let's see how we can let's see something very important with that confuses many beginners with vi. Okay, over a million developers have googled how to exit Vim. It's a running joke in the industry. So you have over a million developers who are confused on how they should exit Vim. And to be honest, the first time that I ever interacted with Vim, I was also very disappointed, and I was also very confused on what was happening. Okay, so I want us to go through some command or syntax and talk about the modes. Okay, so right now I'm in my normal mode, and this is the most important concept in Vim. Unlike every other editor, Vim is modal. The same key does completely different things depending on the active mode. And right here we are in the command mode or the normal mode, and misunderstanding modes is the number one reason beginners struggle and really quit. Okay, so every press is a command, not a character in the normal mode. So what does that mean? If I press something like double D right here, instead of writing DD, you can see I'm deleting a line. So note what happens. And if I press U, instead of typing U, you can see I'm undoing something. And instead of if I type something like Control R, you can see I'm redoing something. So this is a command. Everything that you give in the normal mode is going to be a command. So we have the normal mode, and we have the insert mode, and we have the visual mode, and we have the replace mode. Okay, so I want us to see how we get from insert mode to normal mode, from normal mode to visual mode. I want us to see how we change between the modes. Okay, so think of this mode, the normal mode. Think of it as a command mode. Your keyboard is a remote control for the file, not a typewriter. And how to get here from anywhere is just pressing simply on the escape key. It is safe to press multiple times. Status bar shows nothing special, or it just shows the file name. So you can see below, I don't see anything right here. I can just see the file name. I can just see the line, and I can just see line before a hash one 16 seconds ago. I can just see the change that I made 16 seconds ago, and you can see cursor appears. The cursor here, right here, the cursor that is moving, it appears at a block in almost all the terminals, right? And how do I get to insert mode? Well, when you get to insert mode, characters you type are inserted to the file. So let's see this practically. Now I'm in insert mode, and you can see I know I'm in insert mode because I see this line right here below the very bottom, at the very bottom of the file. You can see the insert word right here. And how do I get to the insert mode from the command mode? I just type I, just click on the I key, and now I'm in the insert mode. And if I type something like hello world, so you can see right now I'm typing, I'm inserting characters. Characters are being inserted into the file, and this feels like a normal editor. There are multiple ways to enter insert mode. Okay, so the status bar below shows the insert. Press escape now. So we press escape, and this and when I try to type something, I'm going to press escape again, and when I try to type something, escape again. Now when I try to type something like dd, so when I type something like dd, you can see what is happening. And when I type something like, I press on the key, on the U key, on the dd key, when I press double D, you can see I'm deleting a line because I am in the command mode. But now I can go back to the, I can undo these changes still in the normal mode, and now I can go into the insert mode again. And now when I type again, see right there, you can see I have a class. So that's some of the basic mode. And you also have the visual mode, which is used to select blocks of text with the keyboard, like click and drag, but it's way faster. So I want to go back to the normal mode, and I want to go back at the top of the file by clicking on double G, and once I'm at the top of the file, I want to go to the visual mode, and I want to go at the very bottom of the file by typing uppercase G. So uppercase G, and you can see I have gone to the very bottom of the file and have selected everything in the file. So V is for character wise selection, uppercase V is for line wise selection, control plus V is block or column selection. So how do we activate the command line mode? So again, I'm going to go to escape mode, and then I'm going to press on escape, and now I'm in my normal mode. And if I want to write command lines, you just activate this by typing you just type a colon, and you just type and just you activated by typing the colon when you are in the normal mode, and it opens a prompt, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, for extended commands. So if I want to quit this, I can just type quit, and you can see I get an error because I had made changes. So if I want to quit and discard all the changes, I just type Q and an exclamation mark, and then I'm removed from the file, and this forces you to quit and save and discard all the changes that you made. And you can see what just happened there. So I want to go back again to the file, and I want us to do some changes again. So I want to come to the very top of the file, and then I'm going to come here and just go to the insert mode and write something like I am about to make some changes. So when I do this and then I escape again, and then I write, and then I try to quit, I'm going to get an error because I have made some changes and I've not forcefully exited from this. I've not discarded any changes. So to write to the file and to save the changes, I'm going to write, and then now I can safely quit without getting an error. So those are some of the basics. So you can activate the command line. You can activate the command line by just typing the colon, and then you're brought down with a prompt right here. When you're in the normal mode, you can just activate the command line by just typing a colon, and then you can write, you can quit, you can set, you can find and replace, and you can help, you can get help. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the syntax that you've just mentioned. We have the escape key, which returns you to the normal mode from any other mode. And then you have the insert, okay? So we have inserter right here. And insert inserts everything before the cursor. So if I type insert and my cursor is at this character, you can see S, and I type I, and I just click on I, and I'm insert mode, I insert before that cursor. Okay, so you can see I'm inserting before the character S. And if I type, let me go back to the normal mode, and now if I type A, I'm going to right after the cursor. So you can see when I click on A, and my cursor was at S, and I click on A, then I write after the cursor. So I append after the cursor. And again, if I escape and I click on capital I or uppercase I, then I start at the very start of the line. Now when I start typing, I'm typing at the very start of the line. And if I click on capital or uppercase A, then I'm going to go back to the normal mode. Then you can see I'm inserting or appending to the end of the line. And if I want to append a line below or above, I can type on O to append a line below, and I can just type something right here, save, and then I go back to the normal mode or the command mode, and then I type on uppercase O, and then I'm going to be appending above the line. Okay, so I'm going to be appending above the line, and I'm going to be automatically in insert mode. So to append above the line or below a line, to append below is lowercase o, and then you're automatically taken to the insert mode. So you do this from the when you're in the normal mode. So in your normal mode, and you press O, and you press O again. So I'm going to delete this. I press uppercase O, I go to insert above the line, and I do this again. I'm going to undo that, and I press lowercase o, then I'm going to be inserting below the line. Okay, so let me talk about basic navigation. All our navigation is going to happen in the normal mode, and you've seen how you can navigate. Very simple. The simplest navigation you can do is just use the arrow key to move up. So for me to move up a line, then I can use my up arrow key, and then to move down, just using the normal arrow keys to move down to the right, to the left. Yeah, but arrow keys work in Vim, but the Vim way is using HJKL because they keep your hands on the home row. It feels weird for the first 2 days. After that, it feels wrong to move your hand off to the arrow keys. So the HJ, okay, I just recommend that for beginners, you can use the arrow keys if you're not really adept, and you can try to just use the arrow key for the basic navigation. But now here is where the HJKL gets advantageous. So H is to move left, right? So if I want to move left, I can use H, and then to move down, I can use J, and then to move up again, I can use K, and then to move to the right, I can use L. Okay. Now here's where it gets advantageous. Now, what if your file has thousands of lines of code, and you want to move 1,000 lines down, and you want to move 1,000 lines up? Well, that can be quite tricky if you're just using the arrow key. And the faster way to do this is not even to use a mouse to scroll. It would be to have a number, and then to specify a number, and then just press on J or K based on whether you're going down or up. So what am I meaning? So if I want to move a certain number of lines down, so let's say I want to move 5 lines or 10 lines down from you can see from where I am, right, from the line that I am. If I want to move 10 lines down, what I can do, then I can write 10 and then J, and then I've moved 10 lines down. And if I want to move 20 or let's say 15 lines up, again 15, and K moves me 15 lines up. You can see how fast that is, how fast it is to navigate, knowing the specific number. Now, these were the K, J, and L and H keys get really useful. And Let's also talk about the word level movement. So that was it for the basic, movement up, down, left, and right. Now for the word level movement, you can jump to the start of the next word. So you can note I'm at the beginning of this line, which has the from typing. You can see my cursor. So if you want to go to the starting of the next word, then I can just press on the W key, and then if I want to jump to the next word again, I can just press on the W key. Then if I want to jump back to the starting of the previous word, I can just press on the B to jump back to the starting of the previous word. Again B. So that is for jump to start of the next word, and then jumping to the back to the starting of the previous word. The starting of the previous word, you just press on B. Again, you see I'm just jumping to the previous word, the starting of the previous word. Okay, so then if I want to jump to end of current or next word, so if I'm in this, my cursor is at the beginning of this line, which has the from typing and import. Then if I want to jump to the end of the current and next word, or next word, so I can just press on E, 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 and again, if I just press on uppercase E, I'm just going to jump to the end of the next word or the current word, and this is going to be white space separated. Okay, so that's basic word movement. And then now let's talk about line navigation. Okay, one of the most important navigations that I wanted to know. So if I am at the end of this line and I want to go to the beginning of the line, then I can just go to the beginning of the line, very start of the line. I can do that with just pressing 0. Okay, so if I'm on this line and I want to go to the very starting of the line, the very start of the line, pressing on 0 just like that puts me at the very start of the line. Okay, and then if I want to go to the end of the line, I just press on the $sign. As simple as that. Okay, so those are the basics for just navigating the line, and I think that's the most important. But if you want more, again, if you want to know more about line navigation, you can always remind yourself. Remember, we have the Vim tutor, and again we have the Vim guide. So you have this guide to get you started with VI. So you can go to the vimschool.netify.app. They have very nice instruction. You can see, you can yank to the end of the line. Again, you can see the $sign is being used here, meaning that yank in Vim, in VI, yank is the same as copy. Okay, so because this means to go to the end of the line, then if you want to copy the whole line, you want to yank to the end of the line, then you just use the Y and the $sign. So the $sign always puts you at the end of the line, and then the 0 puts you at the beginning of the line. Okay, and if I want to go to, okay, you can see the $sign puts me at the end of the line. And also we have another trick. You can do G and then the underscore, it puts you at the last non-void space character of the line, just the same as the $sign does. And what if I want to find a very specific letter? Yeah, okay, I want to find a very specific letter. So if I want to find a very specific letter or a very specific character in my line, then I can just click on F, and then I click on the character that I want to go to. And you can see right here, I have clicked on F, and then I, because I wanted to find the I character in my line. So right here, if I want to find the M character in my line, I just click on F, and then I just click on M. Sorry, if I want to find the M character, and if I want to repeat this, I just click on semicolon. So if I want to repeat the command, I just click on semicolon, and again you can hear my machine complaining when I try to repeat that again, because there is no other M character in my line. Now if I want to find the character P in this same line, and I want to find it very quickly, so I can just click on F and then P. So I can click on F and then P, and then that is to find the character forward. That's why my machine is complaining. So you can note that when I try to click on FP, I cannot find the character, because the only way you can find a character using FP is if the character is the forward. Okay, so is forward on the current line. That's how you find the character forward on the current line. Now what if I want to find the character backward in my current, where from the position of my cursor backward, still in the same line, and I want to find a certain character, then I have to click on uppercase, and then again you can see it takes me back to letter P. So uppercase F, and then the character takes you backward from the from your current position of the cursor. And then if you want to find a very specific character in the whole line, and you are in a certain position with the cursor, then you can just if you want to find the character forward, then you can just click on the normal F, and if I click on R, it takes me to letter R and character R, and if I want to repeat that again, I can just click on semicolon, and it takes me to R again. I find the specific character. So you don't really need to master this at the beginning. This comes with practice, so you can just be using the guide. You can just be I can send you this whole, command list and everything. I will send you. Make sure you just subscribe. Just put your email. I have a link down below. I send you the whole guide to get you started from pro to beginner, and all these instructions that I'm telling, all these commands and syntax that I'm telling you, you will see them in the file that I sent to you. If you just put your email, if you just put your email, then you get the document that has all these commands, so you don't have to cram everything right here. So you can just practice and get better with it. So again, now if I want to move my cursor to the character after X and before X, so let's say I want my to move my cursor before letter L, before this character L, and my cursor is in this position of the line. Then if I want to move the character after X or before X, so how can I do this? So if I want to move my character before L and after L, so if I want to move my character, if I want to move my cursor right here or right here, so this is before L and after L. So let's say I am here, so how am I going to move there? So I'm going to use T, and then I'm going to click on L, and you can see clicking on T and clicking on the character that I want makes me to move my cursor to the character before makes me to move my cursor to the character before the specific character that I'm targeting. So if I want to move my character backward after this L, okay, so if I want to move my character backward, then this cursor must be ahead, must be in the position where it's on the forward position, based on the character that I'm targeting. So if I'm targeting character L and I want my cursor just after L, then I have to be in such a position, and then I have to press on uppercase T and then L, and then there I go to my character. Okay, so that's just the basic navigation. If I want to repeat the command, I just press on semicolon, and if I want to repeat the last command backward, I just I just click on the comma. Okay, so that's it. Again, don't have to master that. I just send you the whole file. I just send you the whole file with all the commands that I've just talked about in this video. So file level navigation. Okay, so let's talk about file level navigation, another very important concept. Okay, so I can keep on scrolling my cursor to the bottom of the line, and if I want to go to the top of the line again, you can see I have to try and scroll on my mouse, and this can be very, very, very tedious. It can take you a lot of time. And imagine now you have a code base, and this file has like thousands of lines of code. Imagine trying to move to the to the top line, to the very most top of your file, or you're just trying to get to the top of the file and you want to change an import. You can see how time consuming this can be and how slow this can be. So to just go to the top of the file, just click on double G, just like that. It takes me to the very, very, very top of the file. Now again, to go to the last line of the file, I just do this. I just click on uppercase G, capital G, if you might say, and then it takes me down to the very bottom of the line. And if I want to jump to line 20, I can just do a jump to line 20. I can just do 20 G, and then I jump to line 20. So 20 uppercase G, jump to the line 20. And then if I want to jump to line 50 via the command mode, so again to activate the command mode, remember full colon, and then if I want to go to line number, let's say 40, then I can just go directly to line number 40 by just activating my command mode and then typing the line number that I want to go to. So let's see if we have line 50. Yes, line 50 seems to be our last line, if I'm not wrong. Let's see again if we have line another line. Okay, so it seems like line 50 or 60 is not there. So what if I want to go to line 42? And it seems like line 42 is right here. So what if I want to go to line 40, 46, 40, 44? Okay, so let's do line 44, and you can see I can just jump to any line number that I want. See how powerful this is. So maybe when you're debugging and you see the exact line that you have the error with, you can just jump to that line directly and using the command line mode. Again, a feature with Visual Studio, you have the numbers of the lines. Again, but you have to scroll with the mouse, and you see how fast it is with VI. You can just jump directly to the line by just having the command line and just putting in the number of the line. Okay, so that's it. And then we have page down and page up. So if I want to just do page down again, you can just use control. A page up again, I mean, you can use control F, control B, move page up, control F, page down. Okay, control B, page up, control F, page down. You can see we have these empty lines right here. So when you see a line starting with this syntax, it's an empty line. It has not been written. This line has not been written to. They have not been written to. And if I want to go again page up, so control B to go page up, control F, page down, control B, page up, simple as that. And then control D to scroll down half screen. So yes, to scroll down half screen, control D, and then control U to scroll up half screen. So if you want to scroll down but you don't want to scroll down too much, if I might say, then you can do control D to just scroll half down, and then control U to scroll half up. Okay, and then maybe when you hit control U twice, then you can have a full scroll up, and then a full scroll down, control D twice. Okay, and then move the cursor to top, middle, bottom of the visible screen. So if I want to move my cursor to the top of the visible screen, I just press on the key H, uppercase H. If I want to move the cursor to the middle, I just press on uppercase M. It puts me to the middle of the current screen view. I don't know whether this is the middle. And if I want to move the cursor to the bottom of the visible screen, then I just press on uppercase L. And then if I want to center screen around cursor, I just double press on Z. Okay, so this is centering the screen around the cursor. And again, you can see now if I press on uppercase H and L, I can move to the upper visible screen, the uppermost part of the visible screen, and lowermost of the visible and the bottom of the visible screen, and then a mid M, uppercase M again to the middle of the visible screen. And then to scroll so cursor is at the top, bottom of the screen. So if I want to scroll so cursor is at the top or at the bottom of the screen, I just press on ZT or ZB to have scroll so that the cursor is at the bottom of the screen, just like that. Okay, then we can proceed on to a bit of a jump list. Okay, so your navigation history. So if I want to jump back in jump history, okay, so jump history is the different positions that I jump with the cursor. So if I want to reverse this, okay, control O, and you can see it takes me to my last jump with the cursor and jump forward in the jump history. Again, you can see what happens. So if I do this again, you can see I go back to my jump positions, and if I do control I go forward to my jump position. So back to your jump position, control O to go backwards with your jump position in the jump history. So even your jump history is captured by Vim. And if you want to view your full jumps, you can just go to the command line and the way you activate the command line, remember we have to type on the full colon, and then you can just type jumps, and then you can see all the jumps that I made, all the jumps, all the cursor positions that I jumped. So if you want to view the full list, you can just do that. So again, jumps, and it shows me the different jumps, and press enter or type command to continue. Okay, so just press enter to continue. That is quite cool. So every time you do a very big jump, like GG to the top, G search or Control F, VI records your position, and Control O brings you right back. This is invaluable after jumping to a destination and wanting to return to where you are. That's cool, I think. That's very cool with VI. That's a functionality that you not get with Visual Studio Code. And again, you see the power in VI. And then change the list, jump to where you last edited. Okay, so if you want to jump to go to where you last edited, then you can type on G and then semicolon, and I'm getting an error because I did not edit anything. So I'm going to try and edit right here and just say save this next time, and I'm going to go back to my normal mode. And then now if I want to go to where I last edited, I'm just going to press on the G, lowercase g. You can see right here I'm getting my command. So if you write something, it appears down here, right? So when you're in the normal mode, so you can see G semicolon, sorry, G semicolon. And I was trying to write on G and full colon, my bad. So it's G semicolon, and it takes me back to my last edit. Okay, you just saw that. So let me make another edit right here. So I'm going to write I'm going to go to the insert mode, and I'm going to write something right here. So whenever I'm in the insert mode, remember again at the bottom of the screen I have to see the word insert. So this is amazing. Okay, then I go to escape, and then now when I move my cursor somewhere else, if I want to move to back to where I was editing, lowercase g, again you can see the lowercase g right here. So whenever I'm typing a command and you're not sure, just look down here, and then lowercase g, and then I have a semicolon, and it takes my cursor back to the line that I was editing, and go to the next edit location. So G, let's see if I have a next edit location, and then G, and then a comma, and then you can see I am at the end of my change list. So if I want to go back again, so G, now I have gone back again to my previous change. Okay, so this was my first previous change, and then this was the other previous change. So now if I want to go back to this change right here, I'm just going to press on G and then comma, and then you see my cursor is back to my very last. And it can tell you again, if you try to go again to forward to the change list, it shows you right here that we are at the end of the change list. So this is the end of the change list. Okay, again, if I want to view the change history or what I have edited, very cool with VI, you can just do again changes. Okay, changes, just like that, and you can see all the changes that I made with this file, or everything that I edited. Isn't this cool? Well, again, you don't see such with the Visual Studio Code. So these are some of the powers of interacting with VI. Okay, and yeah, and then we can talk about inserting and editing text. Okay, so very important. Okay, so I'm going to press on enter. So inserting or editing text. Okay, so this is about just going to the insert mode. Okay, and the normal way to do this is pressing on letter I, and when I press on I, I'm in the insert mode. Okay, so I want you to note what happens right here. So what do you think is going to happen when I press I, when the cursor is at this position? Where do you think I'm going to start writing? Is it before or after the cursor? So when I press I in this case, I'm going to start writing before the cursor. Okay, and when I press when I press A, I'm going to start writing after the cursor. I'm going to be appending. Okay, and when I press O, I'm going to be inserting just one line below the cursor. So let's do this again. When I press O now, It takes me to insert mode, as you can see at the bottom of my screen, and it inserts a new line below my previous cursor. It inserts a new line below the cursor. Okay, let's do this again. So I am at this, you can see my cursor position at this line. So when I press on O, I'm going to be inserting one line below the cursor. Okay, open a new line below and enter insert mode. That is O. What about if I press uppercase O? I'm going to be inserting one line above where my current position of the cursor was. So again, I'm going to undo this, and when I press on uppercase O, I will be creating a new line above the current position of the cursor. So I want you to note what the cursor does right here. You can see I get a new line above. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. When I press on uppercase I, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be inserting before the whole line. Okay, insert at the start of the line, and you're going to be inserting before the whole line. So if I am in, this is very useful. Okay, so you want to make quick changes. So if I'm in this position and I press uppercase I, and let me get to the normal mode. And if I'm in the normal mode and I want to insert before this line or at the start of this line, I'm just going to press on uppercase I, and you can see I'm inserting just before the line, before the whole line. Okay, and then now if I want to append, okay, if I want to just write after this line, after the whole of this line, very useful, again uppercase A, and it takes me to the insert mode. You can see I'm in insert mode, and I'm inserting after the whole line. So I'm inserting at the very end of the line. So I am about to make these changes, and I'm talking about append insert, and normal insert. Okay, so these are the various way you can get into the insert mode, and you can just make your changes. Okay, so escape again. If I want to insert before this line or at the start of this line, I want to insert before the line or at the start of this line. Again, what do? Uppercase I, and I'm taken to the very start, and then I can start typing at the very start of the line. Okay, as simple as that. Now, what about substituting or deleting our character under the cursor? So you can see my cursor is a block cursor. Okay, so what about if I want to write a different word, or I want to substitute this word? So I can just press on S. I want to substitute the letter A. You can see this cursor is a block cursor. So when we say under the cursor, we mean the word that is being highlighted. It's kind of the word or the character that is being highlighted. So in this case, what is under our cursor is character A or letter A. You can see that. And if I want to substitute this word, what I can do, I'm just going to press on the S key, and then I can write something else just like this. And you can see I've substituted that word right there, and I'm just going to undo that change. And the way I undo my changes, if I do something I want to undo, I just press on U, lowercase u, and if I want to redo, I just press on Control R, and you have to do the undo and redo when you're in the command mode, when you're in the normal mode, not when you are in the insert mode. I'm going to undo again. So that's it. That's how you can substitute. Now, another very cool thing, if I press on uppercase S, I can substitute the whole of the line. Okay, that's very cool. I think this is very, very powerful move. So if you want to substitute a comment maybe in your code base and you have thousands of lines of code, again, you don't want to keep on deleting and selecting, then you can just substitute the whole line, and I can write this line afresh. This line is new. Okay, so see what just happened. I just substituted the whole of that line. So let's undo. I had this line, and now I substituted that line with just a simple, a one press of a key. And that's how VI can be powerful. So that is inserting and editing text. And now, if I want to change, okay, if I want to change from the cursor to the end of the line, if I want to change this from the cursor, if I want to change the line, or substitute the line from the cursor, where you can see my cursor is under the word under my cursor right now. The character is I. So if I want to change, I can just press on C, and you can see what happens. Uppercase C, and I've changed everything from. Okay, let me redo that. So you can see that, let me undo that. So I just pressed on uppercase C, and I can now change the remaining part of the line, or a part of the line, if I want to. Okay, so this line is a new again, and I just changed it. So I want us to repeat this with you. Okay, so let's do this again. Let me repeat this with you now. Let's now change. I want to change this line from this position to the end of the cursor. So from the position of the cursor to the end of the line, and you want to substitute the whole of that line, or you want to substitute that part of the line, not the whole. If you want to substitute the part of the line from the cursor to the end, then what you do is just type on uppercase C. And when I do that, you can see that part of the line has gone, and now I can write what I want. Okay, that is the power of VI. Okay, and again, to enter insert mode and at the exact spot you last left. Okay, so if I want to enter insert mode at the exact position I was the last time, I'm just going to press on GI, and now I'm in insert mode at the very last position. And one thing about VI that makes it so powerful is that it holds your history. We just saw it holds your history for the changes, so you can view all your changes right here. Amazing. And then you can also view your jumps, so how you're moving your cursor and how you made the jumps. Again, this makes VI the most powerful editor, I think, because I don't usually see my jump history with VS Code. I don't usually see my changes that I made with VS Code. So this can help you in your development life, and it can even make it easier for you when you're doing the commits and when you're trying to figure out your last change in the thousands of lines of code you might have, or the very gigantic file that you have for your code. Isn't this amazing? Well, I think it's super amazing. Now, again, you can see I can just press on O again, uppercase O, to just have an empty line at the top, and then I can just go to the escape. So this is it with the VI. Now, here's another thing that I like about VI that is so cool. So and it helps me a lot. So if I want to make a change, you can see these two, anything inside the two brackets. So I want to make a change of everything that is inside these two, sorry, not brackets, these two parentheses. So if you want to change anything inside the two parentheses, or it can be curly brackets, or it can be something like the square brackets. Okay, let's try this with the square brackets. So let's do this with the square brackets, and I want to change the content inside the square brackets. What I can just do is CI, and I can just type on that, and you can see immediately everything that was inside my square bracket has disappeared. So what have I done? So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to do C, and I'm going to enter the insert mode, and everything inside the square bracket is going to be replaced. So CI, and then I'm going to just have to press on the opening bracket key, just like that, and everything that was inside the opening bracket and the closing bracket has now disappeared, and then I can replace this with something else, let's say integer. Okay, see how powerful that is. Let's do this with the parentheses right here. Let's do that with the parentheses right here. So again, if I want to change everything inside the parentheses, now this can be very useful in your functions, right? So let's do this. So if I want to change this in the parentheses, I just press on C, I, and I'm just going to press on the opening parentheses syntax. So I'm just going to open on the opening parentheses, just one. I'm just going to I'm just going to press the opening parentheses key. So just like that, and now you can see I have gone ahead to replace everything that was inside the parentheses, and I can type again what I want inside that parentheses, and then I can go back to my escape mode, and I can look at my change history. So let's look at the changes, and you can see one of the changes right here I made was this. I changed the list from a list of strings to a list of integers. Okay, that is cool. So I'm just going to undo everything again. I'm going to undo everything, and just like that. Now, if I want to replace everything inside, let's write something here. Let's write something in quotes. Okay, so change inside. So a double quotes. I'm going to have double quotation. So again, I'm just going to enter insert mode, and I'm going to have double quotation right here. So again, let's write something inside this. This is a tutorial. This is a tutorial about VI, and then just like that. Now, if I want to replace all the content that was inside this double quotation, again, I can just do C. Okay, I can just go. I have to do this in the normal mode. So you can see when I write this in the insert mode. So it was like CI and then the quotation. Okay, that's how you can do the changes. That's how you can replace everything. But because I'm in the insert mode, this is getting typed out of a character, typed out as a character in the current file. So I have to go back to the normal mode. And now when I type C, I, and then I just have one opening double quotation, just like that, I replace everything inside that double quotation, which makes VI to be quite powerful. So again, let me show you something very cool. Let's do this again, just in the insert mode. I can have something like this is a cool stuff. This is cool. This is a cool thing. And then I can have something like this is the best experience, the best experience, the best experience, and then I can have a comma, and then I can have do, and then now what is going to happen if I want to change up to the next comma. So if I want to change something up to the next comma, I'm just going to go into the normal mode, and if I want to change up to the next comma, ct, and then I'm going to have the comma, and you can see I change everything that was until the next comma. So and then I'm in insert mode. So again, if I want to change the whole of this line up to the next comma, you can see, so from this current comma and then to the next comma, just like here this, so I want to replace everything inside the from this comma to the next comma. I can just do C in the normal mode, just type C T and then the comma, and then you can see everything is replaced, and now I'm in the insert mode. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. Okay, now I'm in the insert mode, so I'm going to escape and then undo that. Now another very cool thing that I like with VI, so if I want to change the next three words, or you want to change a number of words, okay, so you want to change a number of words, so let me delete this by just typing double D, and then I've deleted that right there. So if I want to if I want to uh, if I want to, let's say I want to do change some words, I want to change two words in this I want to change two words in this line. What do? I just type on the I just in the normal mode, I'm just going to have C, and then I'm going to then have the number of words I want to change, and then I am going to press on lowercase w, and then you can see I have changed the next two words. Okay, so let me undo that. So I'm in the insert mode. Let me get to the normal mode. Let me undo that. Let's do this with these words right here. So I want to change two words right here. So I'm going to have C and then 2 and then W, and then you can see the two words have disappeared. So now I can write again face 2A to A, just like that. So make sure your cursor is at the beginning of the words that you want to start with when you're changing. And if you want to change a number of words again, you can just do you can just write the C, and then you can write the number of words you want to change. In this case, I want to change two words, so just going to do C2 and then lowercase w, and then just like that I can do the changes. Yeah, that's it. You can see some of those tricks, very useful, very helpful in your development world, and they're going to come in handy. And very cool. Again, if you want to change from the cursor to the end of the line, again, you can just do that. We have seen how you can do that. If you want to change from the cursor to the end of the line, a C dollar sign. If you want to change, same as a C dollar sign, just press on the uppercase C. So uppercase C again to change everything from the cursor to the end of the line, and immediately in the insert mode, and you can replace the whole line with whatever you want. And again, if you want to change the entire line, so let me just type on escape and undo this. If I'm still in another position of the line and I just want to change the entire line, double C, and then I'm in insert mode, and then that line is deleted, and then I immediately am taken to insert mode where I can replace the whole line. And then I just going to go and undo this, and you can see how powerful VI can be, how powerful it can get. Okay, no clicking, no selecting. These keystrokes help you to set it up, and you know everything. Now let's go to the deleting of the text. Now going to talk about deleting, copying and pasting, searching patterns and replacing. Let's start with deleting. And so if I want to delete a character under the cursor, I can only do that with X. And if I want to delete I want to delete a character before the cursor, then I can do that with X, just like that. And that's the way I do my delete. And now if I want to delete from cursor to start of the next word, I can do that with D and W lowercase, and you can see the whole of the line from the cursor to the next start of the word. Then you can see I have deleted everything. So let's do that again. So if I want to delete everything from the cursor to the start of the next word, so I can just do that with simply having the lowercase d and lowercase w, and then I have deleted everything from the position of the cursor to the start of the next word. Let me undo that again. Now that is simple as that. If I want to delete from the cursor to the end of the word, so I can just delete everything from the cursor to the end of the word. So let me delete from the right here where they have the S. The cursor is under the letter under the cursor is S. If I want to delete everything from here to the end of the word, to the end of the line, I mean, I can just do that. So I can just delete from cursor to end of the word. So again, let me do that. Let me undo that. So let me delete from right here from the cursor to the end of the word. So let me just do that, and you can see I've deleted everything from the cursor to the end of the word. And now if I want to delete the inner word, so if I want to delete the inner word under the cursor, I can just do DIW, and you can see the inner word under the cursor has been deleted. Let me undo that. So again, delete inner word, so delete the inner word, entire word under the cursor. So any word that is before E is going to be deleted, and E is also going to be deleted. So let me do that again. So let me undo. Let me go back again and undo this. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to have a line above that for separation, and then I'm going to come right here, and then I'm going to delete IW. So everything from E to the word before E was deleted. And again, I'm just going to undo that. And if I want to delete a word surrounding plus the surrounding space, so if I want to delete a word in the surrounding space, what I can do is just have D A W, and you can see the whole word has been deleted. So again, let us see what you're talking about. Delete the word and the surrounding space. So for example, if this was the word and the surrounding space, then you can see the word and the surrounding space have been deleted. that is doing lowercase d, lowercase a, and then delete a word, and then w, so that is delete a word and the surrounding space. So what you can see here is the word right here and the surrounding space, so everything was deleted including the surrounding space. So lowercase d, lowercase a, lowercase w, and then I have that's deleted. Now, if I want to delete from the cursor to the end of the line, well, it's simple as a D and then the dollar sign. Remember, the dollar sign is used to go to the end of the line. And so, if you want to delete from the position of the cursor right now to the end of the line, then it is going to be a D, lowercase d, and then the dollar sign. And I have deleted everything from the cursor to the end of the line. And if I want to undo that, you can see that again. So the same as doing the same as D to the dollar sign, D and dollar sign. So for deleting the word from the cursor, from the where the cursor is, from the position of the cursor to the end of the line, there's another shortcut which is uppercase D. Okay, that does the same function as D and the dollar sign. And again, if I want to delete the word from the cursor to the start of the line, you can already guess this. If you want to go to the start of the line, remember we use 0. So if you want to delete everything from the cursor to the start of the line, then I think you can guess this is only D, and is going to be D and then a 0, just like that. And that way I've deleted the word from the cursor to the start of the line. Those are the simple commands. And again, remember lowercase d 0, delete from the current position to the start of the line, lowercase d to and dollar sign to delete from the current position to the end of the line. The line deletion, and the line deletion is very simple. So if I want to delete everything in the current line, I'm just going to double click on D, so DD, lowercase d, and everything is gone. Again, let's do this again, lowercase d, 2 times, just double click on lowercase d. Again, that's go is deleted. And do this, just double click on lowercase d, dd, yeah, so dd, and everything is gone. And now if I want to delete 5, or let's say let's delete 3 lines, so let's delete 1 2 3. Okay, so let's do delete 3 lines. Again, this is the power of vi, where you can specify the number of lines you want to perform actions on. So I'm going to delete 3 lines, so I can just click on the number 3 and dd, and again you can see I've deleted the 3 lines. So you can count the lines you want to delete and delete them. Now if you want to delete from the current line to the end of the file, let's try to do that with this. So page down, if I want to go page down, let's do this with Control F, and you can see I'm moving page down quicker than using the navigation. So if I want to delete everything from here to the end of the file, I can just do D and then uppercase G, and all the lines below that were deleted. I don't think you see this with VS Code. Again, this is very powerful. VI, the most powerful editor used by the most powerful computers, and also used in some of the most powerful organizations because of such functionalities. Again, let me return this, and if you want to delete again this line and everything below it, then you can just do delete from the current line to the very low of the line. So you can just do D and lowercase g, and again you can see all that has been deleted. And again, if I want to delete from the current line to the uppermost part of the file, or the top line of the file, if I want to delete from current line to the starting of the file, then I can just do D. And how do we go to the top of the file? Well, remember, to go to the very top and the starting line of the file, you just do GG. So you can already guess what is going to happen. And remember, when we wanted to delete from the current line to the very bottom of the file, then we did D and uppercase G. And remember, uppercase G takes us to the very bottom of the file. So in this case, if we want to delete from the current line to the top line or the starting line, what we do is just the opposite of going to the top of the file, which is GG, lowercase gg. So again, I have deleted everything from the current line to the very top of the file, and I'm going to undo that. And now if we want to delete things inside like the parentheses, or we want to delete, I want to delete everything inside this this method. You can see the logging basic config, and I want to delete everything inside the two parentheses. What I can do, a very powerful move, is just do di, and then I'm going to, you can see I've written the keys right here. So if you want to see what I'm writing, what I'm printing, you can just check here di, and then I'm just going to type the opening parentheses. Okay, so just like that, and everything inside the parentheses has been deleted. I'm going to undo that, and now again, if I want to delete lines 5 through 10, if I want to delete line 5 to 10, okay, I can just go give this in the command line. So to activate my command line, again, what we do, we just type on the full colon, and we can do 5, and then we can delete everything from line 5. So let me count. I think my line 5 is going to be somewhere right here, and I want to delete from the line 5 through line 10. So 5, and then this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I expect everything from this line 5. Okay, so from this line 5, everything to line 10 will be deleted. Let's see how that will go like. And then 5, and then you just specify 5 to 10, and then you just do that. Okay, the lowercase d, and when you give this in the command line, then you can see everything from the line 5 to line 10 has been deleted. Let me undo that, and you can see the changes. And now if I want to delete the whole file, again, I'm going to activate my command line, and then I'm going to have this percentage sign, and then d, and then the whole file has been deleted. See the power of vi, and again, I'm going to undo that. You can see I have returned everything back, and now delete. If I want to delete, not just delete everything inside these parentheses. If I want to delete the parentheses and everything inside, I'm just going to do, instead of di. So I want you to be observant of what is going to be happening here. Sorry, here. So you can see d, delete all. So I'm going to delete everything inside the parentheses, including the parentheses themselves, and I should be remaining with the logging basic config. Okay, so let me do that. So da, and then I'm going to have the opening parentheses, and you can see I'm remaining with the logging basic config. Let me undo that, and you can see that's it. And delete. So that was delete the parentheses and everything. And remember to delete everything inside the parentheses, leaving the parentheses. Or let's try to delete everything inside the handlers right here. So to do that, I'm going to go right here, and then I'm going to go in this. I'm just going to come right here, and then I'm going to do d I, and I'm going to have the opening square brackets, and then you can see I've deleted everything inside the square brackets. To undo that, if I want to delete everything inside, if I want to delete everything including the square brackets themselves, it's DA, and then I'm going to have and then I'm remaining with the handlers just like that. Now delete everything inside of our double quotes. So let's create some double quotes here. Let's say something like let's do something like, let's do something like this has been an interesting lesson, right? So let's type something like this has been an interesting lesson. This has been an interesting lesson, just like that. Now I want to delete everything inside the square bracket, inside the double quotation mark. So let's do d. Okay, so let me go back to the normal mode. Again, you're going to forget this a couple of times. Remember, when you're giving instructions, you have to be in the normal mode. How do we do that? We just press on the escape key, D, I, and then I'm going to delete everything inside those square brackets. And when I do that, I'm going to just type this again. Let me type something again. Let me type after. So let me go to the append mode, and let me type after the cursor. So this was amazing. Okay. Now, if I want to delete everything, including the square brackets themselves, again, in the normal mode, D, A, and then we're going to delete everything, including the sorry, not the square brackets, the double quotation marks. Okay, so DA, lowercase da, to delete, and the syntax, and the, if it's the double quotation or if it's the square brackets, what you're targeting, whether it's inside the square brackets or inside curly brackets or inside parentheses. You can do di to delete what is inside, and you can do da, including the square brackets or the double quotation or the curly brackets, to delete everything, including the brackets, the square brackets, the double quotation marks themselves. Okay, you've just seen this with practice, and you can only understand this by doing. So make sure you're doing this with me. Maybe you can get a better grasp of what you're doing right here. So we also have very powerful techniques with VI. We have deleting inner tags. So we have deleting inner tag content inside a HTML XML tag. So let's write some small HTML right here. Again, I'm going to have let's have a small p. So p, you can see p. Then I have let me have a closing tag right here. Again p. So let me have something like this. Is very powerful. I've never seen something like this. Powerful. I have, again, this file is in Python, and VI notices that the file is in Python, and it knows that this is a keyword in Python. This is a keyword in Python, and that's why you see some highlighting of a different color. But I want just to do some experiment. I'm not going to save this HTML. So I'm going to do this is very powerful. I have never thought of something like this. So I want to delete everything inside this tag, and to do that, VI is going to note that this is a HTML tag, and let's do. So I want to take note of what I'll be writing right down here. So D. So okay, again I've forgotten. I have to be in the normal mode, and I want you to note what I'll be writing here. DIT. VI has noticed that this is a Python, a HTML tag, and it has gone ahead to delete everything inside the tag. Again, you see how powerful this is. Let me just undo that, and then if I want to delete everything, including the tag itself with the p tag, DAT, and everything is gone. Again, simple as that. And then yeah, that's it. And I think that's it for the deletion, and those are some of the basics for deleting. Again, I have a full file just with this content. Again, you just have to visit the link below. Just give me the email and I send this to you, and all the files. You don't have to memorize and cram and write everything. I send these resources directly to your inbox. Okay, so let's do the yank current line. So yank current line, which is the most used, surprisingly. So what is yank in VI? Well, yank is used to mean copy. So you don't say copy, you say yank, which sounds quite cool. I think I like that word, yank, like yank. So copy. And if I want to yank one line, so I want to go back to my normal mode, and then I want to go back right here. And if I want to have something like copy this line, I'm just going to yank it by clicking a double lowercase y. So y, so, and I have yanked one line. Okay, so if I want to paste this line right here, you can see I have yanked and I have copied and I've pasted. Okay, so I show you how to paste, not to worry, but I want to focus on the yank. So pasting is just P, uppercase P, to paste after the cursor, lowercase p to paste before the cursor. Okay, but let's talk about yank first. So yank current line. So let's do the yank. Let's copy this line. It's just y. You can see y is printing down here. You can see the lowercase y, and again I'm going to lowercase y again, and that line, you can see one line less before 2 seconds ago. Okay, so we have yanked this line, and if I want to paste this line again, I'm going to do uppercase P to paste after the cursor, or lowercase p to paste before the cursor. Yeah, I think it's uppercase P to paste after the cursor or below the line if line wise yank, and it's P, lowercase p, to paste before the cursor or above the line if or line wise yank. So let's undo that. Okay, so you can see I've yanked the line, and I'm just going to show you that again. So to yank this line again, lowercase y, the line is yanked, okay? And if the line is yanked, then I can I can go ahead to paste the line. I can do the line again. Let's go and paste the line at the very bottom of this file, and I want to have a new, I'm going to have a new line right here, and I want to go and I'm going to paste the line that I just copied. So again, to paste is P, uppercase P to paste after the cursor. Sorry, again, I have to go back to my normal mode, and then uppercase P. I have pasted the line after the cursor, and remember lowercase p, paste the line before the cursor. And again, another cool thing that I can do, I can press on 2, uppercase P, and then I can paste this as many times as I want. So if you want to paste this 1,000 times with VI, nothing is impossible. You can just write the number and then you click on the case on the P. So if I want to paste this 10 times, 10, and then uppercase P, you can see 10 more lines below. So if I go below the file, Control F, you can see I have some lines right here. You can see I've pasted all these lines, and I was not pasting line by line. I was using the power of VI, where I just specify the number and I specify the function, which is to paste. You remember, you have seen this a lot of times. You specify the number, you can copy 10 lines, you can copy 1,000 lines by just specifying the number and then calling the function. I don't see this with Visual Studio Code. You don't see this with other editors. And I'm going to undo, and you can see I've undone everything that I did with just one command. I've undone the pasting of almost 10 lines, which is very cool. Again, undo, undo. Let's go back again to the line right here. We're talking about yanking, which is copying. And you can see what we did right there with yanking, copying, and all that functionality and pasting. So that was yanking. And again, let's see how we can copy. So I'm going to count the number of lines. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. Let's see whether you can copy the. Let's try and copy 9 lines here. So I'm going to do yank. I'm going to yank 9 lines, and let's see what we get. So 9, I've already typed 9. You can see 9 is here. So observe what is happening here. Lowercase y and y, and 9 lines have been yanked. Okay, and when we yank, I want you to remember we are not copying this into the system clipboard. So you cannot go to another file, like you cannot go to your you cannot go to maybe Notepad or somewhere else in your system and just paste. You can see we are pasting something different right here. That's because you have not yanked into the file system. What we do right here is that we yank into the buffer that is offered by VI. Okay, so I'll show you how we can yank and copy this into the system clipboard. So whenever you copy something and paste it somewhere else in your system, you copy this stuff in your system clipboard. But for VI, we don't copy into the system clipboard, we copy into its buffer. Okay, so we can only use these yanked lines that we have yanked right here in the buffer. And so I just want to paste the lines right here. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to do paste after the cursor. So to paste after the cursor, uppercase P, and I've copied everything right here. You can see I've copied the lines, including I think the space, the empty line right here. I've copied everything. And if I undo that, you can see, I have returned to normal. So that's how you copy and paste. Copying the number of lines, you can specify the number of lines you want to yank, and you can paste this. And then if you want to yank from the cursor to the end of the word, so I want to yank from the cursor right here and to the end of the word, which is I think log level. So let's see what we get right here. Yank, end of the word. And now if I paste, you can see I've copied the log level. Okay, let me undo that. That is yank to the end of the word. So you observe what is right. I'm writing down here lowercase and then lowercase w. I've copied that word, and then if I want to paste the word, okay, if I want to paste the word, so let me just lowercase w again, and then if I want to paste the word again, I've pasted the word before the cursor. Yeah, after the cursor, yeah, I've pasted the word before the cursor. Yeah, so let me undo that, and if I want to paste the word after the cursor, which is just working the same before the cursor, okay, and after the cursor, okay. But the concept is I've copied this word by typing lowercase y and w to copy this word, okay, so that's it. And now if I want to yank inner word, okay, if I want to yank the inner word, okay, so let's yank the inner word. Let's try and do this. Yank inner word. So yank inner word, the whole word under the cursor, okay, so it's going to yank from this e to to L, okay, so everything before E and E itself is going to be copied, okay, so you can note the cursor right now, this block cursor, the word under the cursor is E, so everything including E and before E will be copied in that word. So let's do this, yank inner. So you can see I'm typing up lowercase y, I, and w, and so if I paste this right here, you can see what I've just pasted. So let's do this again, yank. So let's do this with the logging. Let's do this with something like the comments right here. So yank inner word, and then if I paste right here, you can see I have copied I've copied the whole word under the cursor, okay. And if I want to yank from now something like this is now cool, it gets cool right here. So if I want to yank from the cursor to the end of the line, again you can guess this, it's as simple as y, and then what is the sign that we use to go to the end of the line? Remember, it was always a dollar sign to go to end of the line and a zero to go to the start of the line. So let's do that, and if I paste, I have the whole word just like that. And now yank from current line to the end of the file, again a very powerful move. So yank from current line, so yank from here, let's yank from here, just right here, yank to the end of the file. I have 55 lines yanked, and I'm going to paste these lines just bottom of this. So I'm going to paste the lines just here. So I'm going to have a new line right here. So I'm going to have a new line right here, and I'm going to go back to the escape. I'm going to go back to the command under the normal mode, and I'm going to paste everything. And then I have 55 more lines, as you can see right here. So you saw 55 more lines. You can see I have 55 more lines, right? I have 55 more lines. You can see the lines are repeating themselves. So I have yanked 55 lines in a very simple command, and I can just undo that, and 55 fewer lines. As you can see, the updates 55 fewer lines before 72. So that's how you do it. So yank from, so let's do this again. Yank from the current line, again is lowercase y, and to yank to the most bottom part of the file or to the last line in the file, uppercase G. Remember, G, uppercase G, we use it to navigate to the very bottom of the file. So you can note that I have written a lowercase y, and if I want to copy everything from here to the most bottom part of the file, which is this, then I'm going to do y, and then I'm going to do uppercase G, and then 17 lines have been yanked, or 17 lines have been copied into the system buffer, and I can just go ahead and paste this again by I'm going to do Shift P, and 17 more lines have been pasted in just like that. And again, you can see I have 54 new lines. So that's it. Yeah, that's it for some 17 new lines. Yes, that's it. So yeah, that's how we do it. Those are some of the basics. I'm going to undo that, and you can see again I go back to having my normal file. So, and again, a very powerful move that we have seen with working with the special sets of characters like the square brackets, the parentheses. Remember, we were able to delete everything inside the parentheses. We were able to change everything inside the parentheses. And we can also yank everything inside a certain special set of characters like parentheses, square brackets, and all that. So let's do this with an example of this parentheses, set of parentheses right here. As you can see, I want to copy everything inside the parentheses, and to do that I'm going to have y yank, and then I'm going to I'm going to write I, and then I'm going to just type the opening parentheses. I'm not going to type both of the parentheses, remember, just the opening parentheses, and I can do that. And now that I've copied everything inside the set of parentheses, I can paste them here, and you can see this was what was inside this set of parentheses. Okay, just like that. So remember working the special set of characters and copying things inside the special set of characters. It can be square brackets, curly bracelets. It can be a set of double quotes. Remember, you just have y, right? You just type y. So let's do that again with this. So to yank that, you just type y, I, and then you can have the special set of characters, can be parentheses, and then just like that, if I come here and paste everything, that's what I have been able to yank. So yeah, that was it. So paste, remember, paste after the cursor. Paste after the cursor is uppercase P, paste before the cursor lowercase p. I'm going to undo that. And so interestingly enough, Vim has 26 named registers, A through Z, acting as independent clipboards. This means that you can hold multiple things copied at once, impossible for a normal editor. That is crazy, okay? So you can have you have like a register, you have different registers, but that is a deeper concept which I'm not going to get into right now. But that is crazy. But I want to show you something right here. So I'm going to select these lines from I'm going to select these lines from here right to the bottom of the file. So I'm going to go to the visual mode, and then I'm going to select everything. So let me go to the visual mode. Then I'm going to select everything from here to the bottom of the screen, and then I'm going to yank this into the system clipboard. And how do I do this? Now here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. Well, to yank this into the system clipboard, well, you have to do something like, I want you to note what will be appearing somewhere here. I have the plus sign. I have the plus sign. I'm going to have the I'm going to have the double quotation, then a plus sign, and then I'm going to have y. And that's how you yank into the system clipboard. Now, when I go and paste this somewhere else, like my notepad, I have pasted what I had copied right here. And that's how you can yank into a system's clipboard. Okay, note that I copied that and I pasted it right here. So that's how you yank into a system's clipboard. Again, let's do this again. Don't really try, so don't really bother yourself too much if that was so confusing. Again, I have the file. I can send you the file. I can be sending you the files and the guide. So let's do this again. Let's copy from here to the end of the file. So I'm just going to visually, and I'm going to select everything right here. So again, if you want to yank into the system's clipboard so that you can be able to copy this content from this part of your system or from VI to other parts of your system, then you can just do something like you just select what you want to select. And after selecting this, again, remember you have the double quotation, a plus sign, and then Y. And then these three lines are yanked into your system clipboard. And again, remember, if you want to work with your system clipboard, if you want to have the clipboard features added to be able to copy things into your system clipboard, remember you have to have remember you need to have Vim GTK3 installed, I think, for the Debian and Ubuntu family. And how you do this is apt install, so you can have Vim GTK3 installed, if you want to yank into your system clipboard or copy into your system clipboard. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's it. And that's it for the yanking and pasting. I think that we don't have anything else. And then I want to show you one of the most powerful things you can also do with VI, which is normally complicated to do with Visual Studio Code. So you're going to be doing searching and replacing, finding patterns, replacing patterns, and such kind of stuff. So yeah, important one of the most interesting part, and in this section I'm going to show you how to find and replace patterns in VI. So how do we find patterns? How do we replace patterns? How do we replace certain words? How do we replace certain words and find certain words and replace certain patterns? How do we do that? Well, it's very simple. In VI, we do searching, and we're also going to see how we can do replacing. Okay, so searching and replacing patterns in VI. So to get started, you can see I'm in a different file right here, and so I want to find the occurrences for the word graph. Graph is obviously repeated a lot of times here. So if I want to find the pattern going forward, so going forward meaning going forward from the cursor position. So just like this, I'm going to have just the forward slash. I have this slash right here. As forgive me, it's not, I don't know whether it's the forward slash or the backslash. It's the forward slash. I was very correct. So this is the forward slash, and I want to find the word or the pattern graph. So let me just look for this graph. And if I just I press on enter, and it takes me to the cursor should take me to the line where I have the graph. And you can see every time I'm pressing. So if I want to search forward for pattern, you can see the cursor is in the line in which you have the word graph, and which you have the pattern graph, sorry, not the whole word, the pattern graph. And you can see if I press on N, I jump to the next match, the next match, the next match that has the pattern. And mind you, I want to correct something here. Pattern is not the same as the word, okay? So so you can see it's just matching the pattern. Even with the graphi, you can see the whole graphi thing is being matched. And you can see I'm matching all the lines that have that pattern graph. And you can see even at the top of the line, and just need to jump to the next match. Now to jump to the previous match, I can do uppercase N, and I can jump and go forward to the next jump forward and jump to the previous match, and jump to the next match. So the next match, jumping to the next match is just lowercase n, and then jumping to the previous match, just like that, I use uppercase n. Now if I want to find, okay, so you can see when I'm jumping to the next match right here, you can see this changes to a forward slash. This is just a forward slash. And if I'm jumping to the next to the match backwards, you can see this changes from being a forward slash to a question mark, which, yeah, you can see this has changed to a question mark because I'm searching backwards. To search forward is a forward slash. And so the next point here is just searching for a pattern backwards. Okay, so if I want to search the build pattern and I want to do this backwards, how do I do this? So let me just jump to the next match. Let me just enter that, and when I try to jump to the next match, and you can see we just have one build right here. And if I want to search for another pattern, so I'm going to go to the command line, and I'm going to search for the pattern backwards. So let me search for add edge, and add edge, just like that. And I want to match the whole add edge pattern. And now I press on enter, and if I want to search for this, you can see I'm searching for add edge backwards, not forward, actually backwards. So you can see I only have very few instances of the add edge, and I'm doing this search backward. Now what if I wanted to search for the add edge forward? I would just have something like this. Again, I would have something like this, and then I would have the add edge. And now when I press on enter and I'm pressing on N, you can see I'm searching for the pattern add edge forward. Okay, and now, what if I want to search backward for exact word under the cursor? So I'm going to use the hash, okay, and I'm going to have let's say search backward for the exact word under the cursor. So I'm just going to have the hash, and you can see this is brought to my command line mode, to my command line where I have the add edge. And in this case, I'm going to search for the exact word that is under the cursor, in this case, which is add edge, and I can do the backward search. What if I want to search forward for the exact word under the cursor? So let's say, let me go to a word, a specific word. So I'm in the graphi. So the word under the cursor right now is graphi. So I'm going to have to press on hash, and you can see right here at the bottom, you can see we have the graphi, which is the word being at the command line, and we can search for this graphi pattern in the forward mode. So you can see that's how we do it. So hash to search for the for the pattern forward for the exact word under the cursor. That's let's do another example. So let's say I want to search for the logger, for the word logger, and where my cursor, you can note my cursor is at the word logger. So you can see my cursor, under the cursor we have the letter O, which is in the logger word. So if I want to search for this pattern, for the pattern of the logger, so the word logger, and I want to search forward, what I can just do, I'm going to have my hash, and then I'm going to click on N to search forward. So you see, every time I click on N, I'm searching for all the loggers. And remember, at first my cursor was at the position of just this logger. So my cursor was at the position of this word logger. Okay, so let's try to do this again. So my cursor now is at the compiled, and if I want to search for the word compiled without really typing it out, I just want to search for this word, I'm going to have the asterisk, okay, the asterisk just like that, and you can see compiled is brought to the command line. This is how you search forward for the exact word that is under the cursor. And again, to search backward for the exact word under the cursor, you just do the hash just like that. And now when you press on N, you can see all the words under the cursor. So uppercase N to search backward, and lowercase n to search forward, just like that. You can see that's it. That's how you do the search. That's how we get certain words uh, in our in our file. So how do we find and replace words in our file? We use the substitute command. Okay, so we have the pattern. We have a pattern where you have to activate the command line mode. Okay, just like that, and then you have you can pass in an argument of the range and the old word and the new words, and then you have the flags. Okay, so for example, if I want to replace the pattern graphi, so I want to replace the pattern graphi with I want to replace the pattern graphi with something like graph, and if I do this, you can see pattern not found. Okay, but if I take my cursor to that line, so let me put my cursor in that line, and again I'm going to try and find and replace the pattern with graphi. Sorry, I was about to say the old word. You can see now I'm matching. I am matching the word, the pattern graphi in my current line. So if you want to replace only one occurrence in a line, you have to take your cursor to that line, and then you enter the command mode using the hash, and then you have the S to substitute, and then you have the word, the old word, and the new word that I want for this is graph, just like that. And you can see immediately I have replaced the word graph. Okay, so now if I do this again for another line, note my cursor is at the line that has the pattern that I want to replace, and I can do that by I just entered the insert mode. So let me just undo. So I can enter, I can access this, I can change this pattern, this right here graphi in this line, I want to replace it with graph. So what I can do, I can just have the command mode, and then I'm going to have the S, and then I'm going to have graphi. You can see graphi is highlighted, and I want to replace graphi with graph, just like that, and it's replaced. Now if I want to replace all the matches on the current line, so this again replaces only one match in that line. Okay, what if I want to replace the match in the current line? So I want to replace all the matches in the current line, so I'm just going to have a new line here. I'm going to say this is a greater this is a Linux is awesome. It is here. So let's say I have such a line right here, and I want to replace the occurrences of certain matches right here. So I'm going to have the S substitute, and then I'm going to go ahead and have this. So let's have is. Let me highlight is, and you can see I'm only highlighting one instance of is. And let's say I want to replace is. I want to just replace is with, and if I do that, then if I hit on enter, you can see I've only replaced this right here. You can see I've only replaced one match right here. But what if I want to replace the pattern? I want to replace all the patterns that have all the patterns in that line with a certain new phrase or word. So watch what happens now when I type S. And then I have the word that I want to replace, and then I have the whole the is, and then I want to have the new word with. And then now when I add this flag global, now I want you to note what happens with this line. So I'm going to replace all the, so is the S for substitute, the old word, the new word, and G for global. Okay, so G replaces all matches on the current line. So watch what happens when I click on enter, and you can see all the instances here that had is, all the patterns that had is. You can see all the patterns for is were replaced with. Okay, so this, it was this right here, and then you replaced it with right here, is replaced with. Every instance, every pattern in that line was replaced with a new pattern that I had given. And so when I undo this, you can see the changes, you can see what has happened. Now what if I want to replace all the instances of the graphi right here in the entire file, not just in the line? And this way it gets very powerful. So I'm going to just do the percentage sign to load all the file, and then I'm going to have the S right here, and then I'm going to, for substitute, and then I'm going to have the graphi pattern matched, and then you can see all the graphi patterns have been loaded, and I want to replace every pattern for graphi in this file with the new with the new graph. Okay, so every pattern in the file, every pattern that is matching graphi is going to be replaced with graph. Okay, so let me run this and watch what happens. Okay, so let me run this, and immediately you can see all the words that had graphi, all the lines that had the pattern graphi, they were replaced with graph. So all the patterns of graphi have been replaced in the entire file. And if I undo these changes, you can see what has happened. I had all these graphi, and now if I redo, you can see I've been able to replace everything with just one line. That's where vi or vim gets to be very, very powerful. Okay, so that's for substitute, that's for find and replace, that's the substitute command. And that's just it for the substitute command. And what if I want to replace all case insensitive, let's say I had something like come here, I'm going to come here and create a new line. So just right here, I'm going to create a new line underneath this, and I'm going to say great again and awesome and awesome. Okay, and then I'm going to have Linux. Okay, so let's have something like this. So I want to replace all the patterns right here, so I'm going to replace this great, I'm going to replace the awesome, this awesome, with something like fantastic. Okay, so let me find all the patterns that have the awesome. So I'm going to again load the whole file, and then I'm going to S to substitute, find the substitute, to substitute the whole file, the whole lines, all the lines in the file. And then I'm going to have the old word that I want to replace. So I'm going to have the old word as awesome, So awesome, you can see it's highlighting the word awesome. And then if I just write something like fantastic, I want you to see first what is going to happen right here. I'm only going to replace that awesome that was in lowercase. So you can notice that this awesome has not been touched yet. But what if I want to replace all the patterns case insensitive? This is what I do. I'm just going to go again and have to load the whole file and have the substitute command. And then I'm going to have awesome, and then I'm going to have replace this with fantastic, fantastic, and then I'm going to replace this case insensitive. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and gonna replace this. So this the flag I is for case insensitive, and remember this G is for global, meaning that is going to replace all the instances in all the lines. Okay, so remember to always use the G flag to replace everything within the file, and remember to always have the percentage sign at the beginning after just typing the colon, so that you can load the whole file, and then you can globally replace everything, replace all the patterns, all the old patterns with the new pattern. So if I add the I right there, which for the case insensitive, and I click on enter, I want you to watch what is going to happen. I have replaced both the awesome that was in the lowercase and the awesome that was in the uppercase. As simple as that. Okay, that's as simple as that. Now, what if I want to replace all with confirmation? Again, I'm going to undo that change, and again, I'm just going to have this. Let me redo that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just do this again. So I'm going to load the whole file again. Load the whole file, and let's do this. Let's have the old word right here, which is fantastic. uh, Fantastic. And then I'm going to have the that's the old word, and then I'm going to have the new word that I want to replace all the patterns with, the old pattern with the new pattern. So the new pattern I want for fantastic is brilliant. So let's have brilliant, brilliant. And then if I want to replace all with confirmation, I'm just going to do this, and you can see replace brilliant with replace with brilliant. That's for the first line. I'm going to confirm, and I type on immediately. I click on Y, on up lowercase y, to say yes. I replace that line, and to the next line I'm taken, I can also confirm whether I want to replace fantastic with brilliant. Again, I have to confirm, and I'm just going to click on yes. And again, let me just do that again. Now let me replace brilliant again with fantastic, so that you can see what just happened. So I'm going to load all the file, and I'm going to substitute all the brilliant again with fantastic again, fantastic. And then I'm going to have the global, the G file for the global, and then C for confirmation. And now when I go ahead to replace, you can see I'm being asked a question, so I have to pick, do I want to replace that? I can decide to say no. And again, if I want, if I press on lowercase n, that one is skipped, and if I press on lowercase y, that's a yes, it is replaced. So that's very powerful. So you can actually, you actually want to replace some specific lines, and you don't want to replace all the lines, you can use the substitute command and use the confirmation flag, which is the C flag at the end of your substitute command. Now I want us to combine almost all the flags again. So let's come here and just have something like let's go to the command line mode, and let's load all the file and all the instances for Linux. Okay, so let's start with Linux, all the instances for Linux. I want to replace this with Python, and I want to combine all the flags. So all Linux in uppercase, lowercase will be replaced. And then I'm also going to add the confirmation flag. So let's start replacing all the Linux instances. And you can see that as the starting line right here, I don't want to replace this Linux bot, this word for Linux, this pattern. I don't want to replace this Linux bot. So I'm going to press on N, and I jump that one, N. And now what I want to replace are just these two comments right here. I want to replace the pattern Linux in these two comments. So do I want to replace Linux in this line? Do I want to replace Linux with Python? Replace with Python. I click on Y, and yes, I go again to another match in this line for the pattern Linux. Do I want to replace that? I click on lowercase y, and do I want to replace that Linux with Python again? Lowercase y, and you can see right here Linux was in uppercase, but right now I've been able to replace it. Even if it was in uppercase, I've been able to match the pattern even if it was in uppercase. Now for the Linux board, I want it to remain the same, so I'm going to press on the key N for a no to skip that. And then again now you can see I have been able to replace all these. I've been able to replace only the lines that I wanted, and they were very specific lines. So you can see I've replaced these lines that had Linux. If I undo the changes, you can see I had uppercase Linux right here, and I was able to replace it. And you can see I had two instances of Linux. The pattern was appearing 2 times in this line, and I was able to replace it. See how powerful it can get with VI. So that's searching and replacing and basic patterns, and it's as easy and simple as that. Nothing complicated really. So now if I want to come here and just have these changes staged, let me make some change right here. So I'm going to write something like a new change So very useful utility that you might appreciate, especially as a day-to-day an active developer. One of the things you might appreciate right here. So if I want to stage all of these changes, okay, if I want to stage these changes, so I can write to the file, yeah, and you can see a new line has been written, and I want to stage all these changes to my local repository. Then I can do this directly without leaving VI, or without struggling to find the path to this file and add it, the git add, and struggling to get the path to this file, which is a case that I struggle with. Now with VI, I just simply do this. I have this colon to enter the command mode, and then I have this exclamation mark, and then I run this git add, and then I have the percentage sign, and just like that, I can commit, I can add this, I can stage these changes just like that. I can run a command directly as long as I have added an exclamation mark to the beginning of this command. Then I can do this to push this, to add this to my changes. So just like that. And if I want to check, if I want to check whether I've staged these changes, then again I can go again and just do this. So I can go again and just do something like this. I'm going to do the git status, and let's see if you have made these changes. And you can see I have modified pipeline.py, and if I want to unstage, I can use git restore to unchange. I have added this change to the command. I've added this change to the staged changes in my repository. And again, you see you can run commands directly on your VI without ever leaving the editor. And if you just want to continue from the command line, if you want to continue back to your editor, you just click on the enter button. You just press on the enter key, and again we are back again to this file, and we have made the changes that we are supposed to make. And again, if you want to run a Python file, you can do something as simple as Python, and then you can run this file directly without ever leaving the terminal. Okay, that's how powerful VI can get. And this can bring me to a conclusion of my tutorial with VI. Hope you learned something. And remember, if you want to get the resources, and not just the resources for this specific VI, and some of the basic terminal commands, some of the basic commands with VI, I will be sending you a daily dose, of commands that you need to know in order for you to become a master, in order for you to become excellent in the terminal, and in order for you to become a 10x developer. Remember, without knowing some of the basics with Linux, really, I don't think you really understand the machine or your computer very well. So when you go ahead to master some of these commands, when you go ahead to master using VI, you become a different kind of a developer. It's just for your betterment. It's just an advantage that you have towards other many developers that don't know how to use VI and just the basic commands in Linux and just the basic commands in Git. So I will be sending you daily updates on what you should know when it comes to the terminal, some of the tricks with the shell, okay, bash shell, some of the configurations, and again, with that just being said, I want to just show you something, another very powerful trick that you can do. So if I want to stop everything right here and stop this VI for a minute, I can just click on Control Z. So click on Control Z, and again I go back to my terminal. And if I want to bring back the process again, I want to continue editing. Remember, I clicked on Control Z to stop the process and to stop the editor and to just send it to the background. And if I want to confirm, I can just confirm some jobs in the background. You can see I have stopped the VI pipeline.py. So if I want to return this process back, or to go back to my coding, and I want to go back to my editor in VI, I just type FG and I bring it back. So you can always just send this to the background and just use the terminal. If you want to, you can just get this out for a minute, and you can just go back to your terminal and do your basic terminal commands, and then bring your editor back exactly where it was. It's a powerful trick, again, very useful. And if you want to set some of the configuration for your VI, let's say I want to have line numbers for my lines, then I can just go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and type on Control Z, and I'm going to go ahead and add some things right here. So I'm going to have a vi dot, I'm going to create a file in my home directory. If you're a Linux user, remember, if you're using WSL, then you're using Linux on Windows. So I'm going to create a new file called .vimrc. If it's not there, it's going to be created automatically, or you might have this. And if I create this file, I'm going to have set the number, and then I'm going to set a relative number, just like that. And then I'm going to write these changes, and then I'm going to write these changes. So I'm going to enter escape mode again. I sometimes forget to go back to the normal mode. So if I want to go back to the normal mode, I'm going to click on escape, and then I'm going to write to this file and quit. I'm going to reload this source vimrc, yeah. And now let's see what happens when I go back to my vi. So let me make sure this is not a background again. I don't have any background jobs running, so I'm going to go to my vi pipeline .py, and again, there you go. I have reloaded. You saw I just reloaded. I reloaded the vimrc. So whenever you make the changes to the vimrc, you can always reload them. So this is a configuration file for Git. Okay, so the vimrc is kind of similar to bash rc. If you're a Linux user, well, you might understand this. If you don't understand this, well, don't complicate this. If you just want to create some configurations for your vi, you can always do this in the home vimrc. And if you access this file, you can see I have some configurations which set the number and the relative number. So now I can see my lines being numbered, and this is how I created the configuration. Well, if you just type vim and then you have the home, and then you have slash .vimrc, then it's going to create a new file, and you can set this so that you can see your lines and you can see your lines being numbered, and you can be able to work better with the editor. So I just set this, and if I wanted to have these changes apply to my vim, what I did, I just went ahead and did this source, and then after you made the changes to your vimrc, remember again to create the vimrc. If it's not there, just type v, and then this sign, which I don't know really, this sign here which represents your home, which my home, you can see the home. You go to your home, and then you slash into your vimrc, and then once you do that, how you load these changes into your vim, you just type slash again vimrc, and now if you do this, you're going to load all the changes to your vim. And now whenever you start your vi, so I'm going to start my vi again, you can see right now my lines are numbered, as simple as that. And whenever I go to a certain line, I know which line I'm in, I know the number of the line. So these are just some of the configuration, and you can do a lot of configuration with Vim in the virc, in the .virc file, and we can go through all these configurations. It's going to take a time. I just wanted to show you the basics. That's how you can set up some configuration. We also have some useful plugins. You can install Vim plugins. You can learn how to do this. There's so much with Vim. This was just the tip of the iceberg, and I hope you enjoyed everything. Now remember again to get the resources. The link is down below, and I'll be sending you some of the most powerful terminal commands. I'll be reminding you maybe some of the commands. I'll be teaching you how to stay in the terminal. Till next time, stay tuned.